Hi, I'm Dr. Julie Burke. Many of our practice members ask me about the care they receive here at Newton Chiropractic and Wellness Center. I thought I would share some of my story about how I came to treat patients the way I do. I remember it was a Saturday evening. I had only been in practice for about a year at that point. I spent the whole day absorbing as much information as I could from the founder of Network Spinal Analysis, Dr. Donald Epstein. His work pulled everything I had learned together in a way that made me far more able to serve. As a doctor, I was hanging on every word he said. As a person, I was exhausted. And now I found myself laying on a chiropractic table being adjusted by him. On the surface, I had been successful in my life, having graduated magna cum laude in school and building a full practice as a brand new doctor within 90 days. But all of that was coming at a very high cost to me. My nervous system was running in fight or flight most of the time. I'd come to a place where anxiety was the norm rather than the exception. I had studied so much about healing and personal development. Meanwhile, my goal for each day was to get through each day. I felt like I was living in a place where I was suffering underneath a facade of being successful and cheerful. Here I lay on the chiropractic table with Dr. Epstein. He reached down to adjust me with such a light touch. For a moment I thought, how could this do anything? Yet my experience that followed was profound. I noticed subtle shifts, and by the next day I began to feel like a 1,000-pound weight had fallen off of my shoulders. It was as though a tape had been playing in the background that made me feel stressed out and tense. Network care, including such light touches, were beginning to turn off that tape for me. With that, my shoulders began to relax. I felt a sense of peace. Over the next few weeks, I noticed that I wasn't trying to be cheerful. I just was. I had dealt with my share of stressors. Dr. Epstein's work helped me to create a strong pathway to improve my health, my well-being, and my happiness. For the coming months, I noticed I went through certain phases. First, I went through what is referred to as the relief phase. Sometimes I felt relief from an old neck injury as well as feeling more calm and a sense of ease. And sometimes I was uncomfortable both physically and emotionally as things shifted. But I needed to go through that. Before this phase, I felt like I was standing on shaky ground. After this, I found myself on a more stable platform, better able to tolerate stressors. I thought I was done after the relief phase. After all, my neck wasn't bothering me. I began to understand that permanent improvements were going to take some work with the equivalent of a personal trainer for the nervous system. Now it was time for the corrective work. We addressed patterns created by my old injuries and stressors. This was the place where we began to experience both an increase in the range of my motion and the range of my emotions. I regained more motion in my neck, and I noticed I could handle stressful situations better. Before this work, that would have caused stress in my nervous system. The knocks of life that had caused tension in my spine, my spinal cord, and nerves continued to release. With less tension and interference in my nervous system, everything started to work better. I began perceiving more clearly without stress distorting the picture. My behavior became more supportive of my goals with less effort. And all of this improved the structure of my body and my life. The work I did in the corrective phase brought my quality of life up to a new, higher baseline, making me more resilient to the knocks of life. From there, I was moving into the optimizing phase. This phase was like using a retainer to maintain the gains of straightened teeth after wearing braces. It wasn't difficult for me to choose to do this phase. It just made sense. I would have never considered going back to where I was. I have maintained that wellness over the 27 years since the day I was adjusted by Dr. Epstein. I have watched thousands of our practice members improve. Many had experienced life's hard knocks that increased tension and interference in their nervous systems, often causing pain. Practice members have shared improved well-being through new abilities to perceive, behave, and support the structures in their lives. I invite you to look at the success stories shared by our practice members, many of whom have found more than just relief from pain. We look forward to supporting you as you create your own story of success.